Hey, this is this, and I haven't made a video in a while, and the main reason is that I've been sick, and I've been pretty much out of it for a while, so this is just me talking video on a couple of stupid things I've been hearing. And on a side note, yes, I've been hearing about this whole Boston bombing thing or whatever. The reason why I'm so out of touch on that information and didn't check up on it is that it was kind of hard to check up on information while you're coughing up phlegm and spitting it all into a cup, which is enough to make a grown man puke. So I'm gonna stay out of that conversation because I know any little to nothing right now about it, other than just lying in my bed in a horrible amount of sweat and other stuff. And if you haven't noticed, my voice has probably changed a little. If and it's still a little bit scratchy, and that's where I was being attacked the most on my little illness. But anyways, on to some of the stupidest shit I've been hearing as of lately. Oh yeah, and I also saw being a sci-fi fan. I read the plot to Oblivion. Oh my god, it's bad. You know what? I'm just gonna throw a spoiler in there. It's like somebody took the idea of Star Wars Episode 2 and said that's why the Earth was overrun. Basically, it's an army of clones, and it's not just any clones, but a clones of Tom Cruise. Yeah, Tom Cruise, an army of Tom Cruise clones take over the Earth. That's Oblivion's plot. Please do not watch it. I know it's visually looks like a great movie, but Jesus Christ, that is god awful. And yes, being a sci-fi fan, I did see Defiance, which I didn't think was stupid. It's an okay show. There was some pretty stupid moments in it, but it's okay. I should put up a more better review of it later. I don't know if I will. But the game is not getting very good receptions, from what I understand. The Defiance crossover game that goes with, because the Defiance TV show is crossing over with the Defiance game, which is not doing so well. But yeah. But one of the stupid things that I've heard as of lately. Okay, first of all, I heard someone make a video saying that Nintendo has this image of kitty stuff. That's and this person literally didn't know what he was talking about because he didn't understand hardware, saying there was memory problems and all this other stuff. Another was it. First of all, the GameCubes were on mini DVD discs that had almost about the same storage space as a normal DVD. And I know they were DVDs because of a certain somebody out there had made a video saying that there was no loading slot videos for mini DVDs. But yet, when the Nintendo Wii was made, Nintendo Wii, as you know, was backwards compatible with GameCube, and as you know, the GameCube disc is small. It's a mini DVD, not a mini CD. And forgetting one other important little fact, the PlayStation 2 was the most popular console of the last generation. But everybody, and I mean everybody, still forgets this, and they still have a hard time understanding this, and mainly within the Sony fanboys. I'm not saying all of them. I mean, there's some Sony fanboys that have accepted this truth, but there's others that just hold on to this, like, but all the hardcore games were on PlayStation 2. Yeah, but you know what? There's a reason why more developers like going to play GameCube and even the original Xbox. The PlayStation 2 was the weakest console of its generation. Yeah, it existed for an extremely long amount of time, but it was extremely lower in power, graphic capabilities, and just about everything else. The GameCube, as well as the Xbox and even the Sega Saturn, had way more power than what the PlayStation 2 had, which is why I found it bizarre they went the way they did with the PlayStation 3. And everybody's all saying, but Sony and PlayStation has always been about having high standards and all the latest and greatest. No, they haven't. All you have to do is just look up the specs of the PlayStation 2 and match them up with the specs of both the Xbox 360 and the fucking GameCube, and you'll see how low power the fucker was. The only thing that made it big was, oddly enough, a gimmick. The same kind of gimmick that made Nintendo Wii so popular. Not popular. I mean, that made the Nintendo Wii so popular. You know, the way the Wii was having the motion controls. What was PlayStation 2's gimmick? No, it wasn't motion control. It was that it was a DVD player. And at that time, the Xbox didn't come out yet. The Xbox didn't come out until almost like a few years later, anyways. And people forget this. They forget this, or they just intentionally just want to drop it altogether. And that's the problem with people like Michael Patcher, is that they just want to bend reality to whatever truth they want to believe. Yes, the PlayStation 4 specs are extremely powerful, and in my honest opinion, good, and may end up killing the Wii, or I mean the Wii U, or just overdoing the Wii U. And from what I've been understanding, and we have no idea what the Xbox 720 is, but according to most rumors, it's kind of underpowered. But we'll see on the Xbox 720. And of course, everybody complains about Nintendo the Wii being so underpowered, but everybody forgets that usually, most of the time, the most underpowered console is usually the winner. It's actual fact. Deal with it. Or we could be just like Blackmon, who somehow thinks that x86 architecture beat beat the Power PC processor just because the developers fell in love with it and was so easy to program, even though that wasn't true. I mean, and I've explained this in another video. The real reason why the Power PC processor failed was they couldn't manufacture it. I mean, remember that little tray line that was in the one infamous scene of I Love Lucy where they were eating all that chocolate from that tray line? Well, remove those Lucy and that other female actress and all the candy, and just have that tray and have two of those tray lines next to each other, and they're just throwing out processors, one x86, the other Power PC processors. And the thing is that the x86 processor would go up into like a small mountain, and why the Power PC processors would only halfway fill the bucket that it was falling into. Why, the other bucket, the x86 processors, was just overfilled to a point that it's its own mountain and the bucket is just buried. You can't even get to it anymore. And, that's the real reason why the x86 processor beat out the Power PC processor. It's just that the x86 processor was just so cheap and easier to produce that it didn't matter anymore. And the Power PC processor was just immensely slow to produce and more expensive cost to make. The developers actually liked the Power PC processor more, but they were forced to go to the x86 because it was more prominent and more there. Unlike the Power PC processor, which was like a ghost, and not very much of it was there. But then again, reality bending powers of morons out there who want to believe what they want to believe, Black Bond, are still producing these lies over and over and over and over again. Get enough people to believe in what you're saying, it's eventually got to be true. But Don't take my word for it. My mother uh, used to be an employee at Motorola. And I'm not even going to get into people calling Nintendo just a kitty making company because I don't know how more stupider that the part hearing that was and how one sided that is and idiotic because every gaming console has made kitty ported games and been published by the actual company. Microsoft is no different. They published a bunch of kitty games themselves, and so has Sony. And when I hear this, it's just an idiotic fucking statement that just makes me wonder. And also adding into the fact that, oh yeah, the older kids who grew up in the old NES are now all grown up and shit like that. Here's something you might find interesting. Those older kids, now have children themselves. And when they say it's all just kiddie stuff and ignore it, they might as well just be taking their child out in the back lot and saying, "All your toys belong to me," while they're basically turning their face to hamburger with their bare fist and then picking up a tire iron and beat them over the head with it. I seriously mean it. I've seen neglect at its worst, and I've seen shit like that at its worst, basically. And this almost really tops it. Basically, these are fathers telling their own children to fuck off when I hear that shit. Fuck off. This is my games. I'm playing mature shit. Take your little baby shit, cry in the corner, and shut the fuck up and disappear. That's what I'm hearing. So fuck you when I hear that shit. And then, to add to more stupidity, because this is going to be a long running video, this one takes the cake. People are going to get confused from the Wii to the Wii U because, they're exactly the same. Okay, first of all, Nintendo's done this well before. Remember the original NES system? And of course, in Japan it was called the Famicom. And then they had their successor called the Super Famicom and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah, they've done it, and as well. And I'm not getting to get into all the Game Boys, and then all the DS, and hearing those people. Well, this is confusing customers. You know what? Yeah, Nintendo did it a lot, especially with the handhelds. They did it a lot, and the first two NES consoles. But then Nintendo went off and made different names. But here's something funny. Microsoft's Xbox 360, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and now PlayStation 4. And soon to be something Xbox other. Maybe Xbox 720, or they're just going to call it Xbox Infinity. But they are determined to use the Xbox name. So yeah, to all those people that are going to get confused from having Wii to Wii U, from those Sony fanboys, don't forget that your consoles have been doing the same thing. Hell, we're in the fourth generation of those PlayStation consoles because we can tell due to the fact that they have a goddamn fucking 4 next to it. It's been the same name, console after console. And Microsoft has named their last two consoles after each other. They've both been called Xboxes. So why are you complaining? It's a stupid name, yes, but Microsoft's done it, Sony's done it, and Nintendo's done it a few times. I don't get the thinking that goes on people's heads on this one. Seriously, I don't understand why they're calling it the Wii U. I'm confused from the Wii. My Xbox 360, it has a much more different name from its original Xbox. I mean, it was called an Xbox, and then it was called Xbox 360, because this 360 is a completely different name than from, I mean, just by slapping that 360 next to the Xbox name, it completely changes the name. And then not forgetting Sony, all they do is just put the numbers after the word PlayStation, and it's a completely different name. Do me a favor, people. If you're gonna own somebody or anybody out there, do it with some actual fucking logic.